I think it was a solid budget. I think it was within the fiscal boundaries set by the medium-term budget last year. The budget deficit came in for the last year 3.4%, and the estimate for next year is 3.1%. It's not ideal, but within the economic constraints we currently find ourselves in, it is acceptable. The main concern for me is the state debt. It is currently around 47% of GDP, and that is set to rise to around 49% in 2020, and that is concerning. But everything is a function of the health of the economy. If the economy grows or grows faster, the GDP will grow, and that will improve all the ratios. It will increase tax revenue, and that is the main concern, and that was Pravin Gordhan's main message as well. There were no bombshells on the tax front. The biggest one was the increase in the marginal tax rate for people earning more than 1.5 million, from 42% to 45%. This was expected. It only affects around 103,000 people, and it will add around 4.4 billion to the fiscus. The other surprise was that the withholding tax on dividends was increased from 15% to 20%. That wasn't expected, but I don't think it's a major surprise. For normal South Africans, Gordhan didn't increase or didn't adjust the tax brackets according to inflation, so he withheld some tax there, around 12 billion, and that's relief we should have received through fiscal drag. It's also not expected. The target was for Treasury is to get around 28 billion rand in additional taxes. The majority of that comes from the non-adjustment of the tax brackets and the higher tax on the 1.5 million plus people. Minister Gordhan, the core theme is economic growth. South Africa desperately needs to accelerate economic growth. That will not only expand GDP, but it will also increase tax revenue, and that in itself will solve a lot of problems. Increased growth will also create jobs, and it will have a positive social impact. But another core message was that the growth, if we do get accelerated economic growth, it must be inclusive growth. Now that means if the economy grows, everybody must benefit, not an elite few. And that is the core focus of Pravin. The President also said that during his State of the Nation address, and I think that's going to be the core theme. It's not only a South African imperative, it's also a message which we hear internationally more and more. And that is, everybody in South Africa would know, 10% of the people in the country owns 95% of the wealth, and that is not sustainable. We need to get the inequality, it needs to reduce, it needs to narrow significantly, and that is one of the keys to a prosperous South Africa. No, he seemed very confident. During the press conference prior to his announcement in Parliament, he was extremely confident. Many journalists afterwards spoke about the way he presented himself. Now, of course, he is a good speaker, but he did state very clearly that he believes the Treasury is a sound institution and it needs to be left alone. It should not be one of the targets for political infighting. And he was even daring in that sense. I believe the Treasury is one of the best run state institutions we have, and the longer that team stays together, the better it will be for the country.